Around 12:40 p.m. on December 18, 2024, the Valencia County Sheriff's Office received an emergency call from the area of El Cerro Loop and Inspiration Drive in the town of Los Lunas, Valencia County, New Mexico. The caller reported a man who had been shot in the chest lying on Inspiration Drive in critical condition. This call marked the beginning of one of the most shocking murder cases in the region in late 2024. To gain a clearer understanding of how dangerous this case was, let's follow the Valencia County K9 police team as they hunt for the dangerous killer. The Valencia County Sheriff immediately dispatched a rapid response team to the scene. Upon arrival, officers discovered a man approximately 60 years old, later identified as John Miramontes, 61, a local resident. Miramontes was lying on the road bleeding profusely from multiple chest wounds. He was still conscious, though very weak, and attempted to provide information to the police. In a faltering voice, Miramontes stated that he had been shot by a woman named Amy Pendleton at a house at 300 El Cerro Loop, not far from the scene. He also warned that Pendleton had shot another man, George Yzquierdo, allergy symptoms at the same location, and Yzquierdo might already be dead. Emergency medical personnel were called to the scene and quickly provided first aid to Miramontes. He was transported by ambulance to the University of New Mexico UNM Hospital in Albuquerque, approximately 30 miles north of Los Lunas. However, due to the severity of his injuries, Miramontes passed away shortly after arriving at the hospital. His death was confirmed later that afternoon, escalating the case to a homicide investigation. John Miramontes, 61, was a longtime resident of Valencia County. According to police records, he lived near the El Cerro Loop area and was described as a friendly individual who frequently interacted with neighbors. Initial information from family and friends indicated that Miramontes had no history of serious conflicts with anyone, making this attack particularly puzzling. Investigators began collecting evidence from the scene, including statements from nearby witnesses. Some reported hearing gunshots approximately 15-20 minutes before police arrived, but no one directly witnessed the incident. Police also found evidence at the scene on Inspiration Drive, including bloodstains and several bullet casings. The casings were later identified as 9mm Makarov rounds, a critical detail in tracking down the perpetrator. However, no weapon was found at the scene, and the suspect appeared to have fled the area immediately after the shooting. Based on Miramontes' dying declaration, police shifted their investigation to the house at 300 El Cerro Loop, believed to be the primary crime scene. Miramontes' claim that George Yzquierdo might be dead led investigators to suspect this was not just a single homicide, but potentially a double murder. A second police team, along with additional support, was dispatched to the address to verify the information and search for the second victim. Upon arriving at the house on El Cerro Loop, police observed no signs of activity outside. The front door was securely closed and no sounds came from within. However, a car parked in the driveway caught the investigators' attention. The vehicle was later confirmed to belong to George Yzquierdo, a resident of the house. This strengthened suspicions that Yzquierdo might be inside and his condition needed immediate verification. Concerned that the suspect could still be in the house or that there might be additional victims, the police opted not to enter immediately. Instead, they deployed a K9 unit to ensure safety. The K9 trained to detect humans and criminal evidence was sent into the house first. This decision not only protected the officers but also enhanced the efficiency of the search in a potentially dangerous environment. The K9, guided by its handler, quickly picked up a scent and moved through the rooms of the house. Within minutes, the dog located a body in the living room area near the kitchen entrance. The body was identified as George Yzquierdo, 64, the homeowner. Yzquierdo was lying on the floor with a clear gunshot wound to the head. Police confirmed he was deceased at the scene, and the wound suggested he was shot at close range, possibly in an execution-style killing. George Yzquierdo, 64, was a longtime resident of El Cerro Loop. He lived alone in the house and was described by neighbors as a quiet, reserved individual. There was no indication of a direct connection between Yzquierdo and Miramontes, beyond their proximity as neighbors. However, both victims were shot with the same type of ammunition, suggesting the same perpetrator acted within a short time frame. Police conducted a thorough examination of the scene at the house. They found a 9mm bullet casing on the floor between the living room and kitchen, consistent with the ammunition found near Miramontes. Additionally, an empty gun holster hanging at head height in the kitchen was discovered, indicating the charged with investigating a murder case. The police are looking for a suspect named Amy Pendleton, a 41-year-old resident of the El Cerro area, with a criminal history involving violence and resisting law enforcement. Her current probation violation status heightened the police's view of her as a significant threat. The K9 team continued searching the house to ensure no other victims or suspects remained. The K9, with its keen sense of smell, led officers to a bathroom at the back of the house. The bathroom door was closed, and when the K9 signaled the location, police commanded Valencia County Sheriff's Office, "Come out with your hands up." There was no response from inside, but faint noises suggested someone was moving. The police cautiously opened the bathroom door and found Amy Pendleton hiding in the bathtub, attempting to conceal herself. She was unarmed and did not resist as she was handcuffed. Pendleton was removed from the house and detained at the scene for a search. In her pants pocket, police found a 9mm Makarov magazine containing rounds identical to those used in the killings. This discovery was critical evidence directly linking Pendleton to the crime. Following Pendleton's arrest, police conducted a thorough search of the house and surrounding area. In addition to the bullet casing and holster already found, they collected further evidence including Pendleton's clothing, DNA samples, fingerprints, and materials potentially containing bodily fluids or tissue. A search warrant was issued to ensure all evidence was collected legally. Police also reviewed security cameras in the area, but none captured the incident directly. However, neighbor testimonies reported seeing Pendleton near Yzquierdo's house on the morning of December 18, 2024, and one witness claimed to have heard an argument from the house before the gunshots. This information helped establish a timeline for the case. Pendleton was taken to UNM Hospital for a medical evaluation as per protocol before being transferred to the Valencia County Sheriff's Office for questioning. There she read her Miranda rights, but Pendleton refused to answer any questions from investigators. However, during booking photos, she unexpectedly remarked, "I don't like cameras. They're a curse." She also stated, "I've held a lot of anger, but not anymore." These unprompted statements were not in response to questioning, but were noted in the police report as significant behavior. Pendleton was then transferred to the Valencia County Detention Center, where she was held without bail. A preliminary hearing was scheduled for January 2, 2025 before Judge James Lawrence Sanchez. Prosecutor Joshua J. Alt filed a motion for pretrial detention, emphasizing Pendleton's history of violence, including assaults on medical personnel, resisting officers, and evading law enforcement. Amy Pendleton, 41, was no stranger to Valencia County law enforcement. Her record included prior charges such as evading police with force, assaulting medical personnel, assaulting a police officer, causing serious bodily injury. Pendleton was on probation at the time of the crime, though no active warrants were issued by the Probation and Parole Office. However, her probation violation exposed her to additional penalties beyond the murder charges. Investigators also explored Pendleton's relationships with the victims, with initial findings suggesting she may have known Yzquierdo due to their proximity as neighbors. Although Pendleton refused to answer direct questions during interrogation, her spontaneous statements and circumstantial evidence helped police form a hypothesis about her motive. The following section analyzes the motive in detail based on police reports, witness statements, and the case's context. Based on evidence and neighbor accounts, police hypothesized that Pendleton's motive stemmed from a personal conflict with George Yzquierdo, which may have escalated into violence. Pendleton and Yzquierdo were neighbors, and some witnesses reported prior disputes between them, though the specific reasons remain unclear. One neighbor noted that Pendleton frequently appeared near Yzquierdo's house, and on one occasion she was seen arguing with him over an unspecified issue. The connection between Pendleton and Miramontes is still under investigation. One theory is that Miramontes may have witnessed Yzquierdo's killing and was shot by Pendleton to silence him. However, the fact that Miramontes was shot on Inspiration Drive some distance from Yzquierdo's house suggests he may have attempted to flee before being pursued. Investigators also considered financial or drug-related motives. However, no clear evidence of drugs was found at the scene, and there were no indications that Pendleton attempted to steal money from the victims. The discovery of the magazine in her pocket suggests she was prepared for violence, but there is no evidence of a complex plan. As mentioned, Pendleton did not cooperate with investigators after being read her Miranda rights. However, her statement, "I've held a lot of anger, but not anymore," was considered a significant clue. Investigators believed this remark might indicate an emotional outburst that led to the killings. Pendleton appeared to feel relief after the act, suggesting the murders could have stemmed from a personal conflict or long-simmering anger. Additionally, her comment about cameras being a curse and her mention of having personal beliefs hinted at possible psychological instability or unconventional convictions. Investigators requested a preliminary psychological evaluation, but the results were not disclosed at the time. Though not formal statements, these remarks provided initial insight into Pendleton's mental state post-crime. While Pendleton did not flee far from the scene, her attempts to avoid detection and her actions following the murders are a critical part of the case. After shooting Yzquierdo dead in the house on El Cerro Loop, Pendleton appears to have pursued Miramontes, who likely attempted to escape the scene. Investigators believe Miramontes left the house after witnessing or being attacked, and Pendleton chased him to Inspiration Drive, where she shot him multiple times in the chest. The distance between the two locations, approximately a few hundred meters, indicates Pendleton acted swiftly to prevent Miramontes from alerting the police. After shooting Miramontes, Pendleton returned to the house on El Cerro Loop. Her reason for returning is unclear, but she may have intended to retrieve evidence or continue hiding. Her decision not to immediately flee the area suggests she either underestimated the police response time or believed she could remain undetected in the house. Hiding in the bathroom was Pendleton's final attempt to avoid capture. She chose a secluded spot, likely hoping the police would not thoroughly search the house. However, the K9 unit thwarted this plan. The K9, with its superior scent detection, quickly located Pendleton, leading to her arrest just minutes after police entered the house. Pendleton did not resist when handcuffed, possibly realizing escape was no longer possible. However, her behavior while being transported to the station displayed an unusual calmness. Her comments about anger and cameras being a curse suggest she felt little remorse for her actions, and instead experienced a sense of relief. This aligns with her history of violence, as she had previously acted impulsively in prior incidents. Pendleton was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of John Miramontes and George Yzquierdo. Additionally, her probation violation could lead to further penalties. Under New Mexico law, first-degree murder is the most serious offense, carrying a potential sentence of life imprisonment without parole. Prosecutor Joshua J. Alt filed a motion to detain Pendleton without bail, emphasizing her history of violence. In the motion, Alt listed her prior incidents, including assaulting medical personnel, resisting police, and evading law enforcement. He argued that Pendleton posed a danger to the community and was a flight risk if released. Pendleton's preliminary hearing is scheduled for January 2, 2025, before Judge James Lawrence Sanchez at the 13th Judicial District Court in New Mexico. During this hearing, the prosecution will present preliminary evidence to establish sufficient grounds to proceed with Pendleton's prosecution. Pendleton has not yet appointed a defense attorney, but a public defender will be assigned if she does not hire private counsel. Given the severity of the charges, the likelihood of Pendleton receiving a reduced charge is low unless new evidence emerges. The case has shocked the El Cerro and Los Lunas communities, typically regarded as peaceful areas. The deaths of Miramontes and Yzquierdo, both without criminal histories, have raised concerns about local safety. Some residents have held memorials for the victims, placing flowers and candles at Inspiration Drive and in front of Yzquierdo's home. The case has also sparked discussions about gun violence in Valencia County. According to New Mexicans to Prevent Gun Violence, the county has seen several gun-related homicides in recent years, including cases in 2019 and 2013. The Pendleton case is seen as a warning of the need for stricter gun control measures. This case is not only a story of crime, but also a testament to the effective collaboration between humans and technology in law enforcement. However, it raises questions about the root causes of violence and how communities can prevent similar tragedies in the future. That concludes today's case. Thank you for following along, and we hope you found it engaging. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on the latest cases. See you next time.